And if I can not yap as badly as I did in the last video, I'll try to explain myself more clearly as we get another Eldritch. Man, I'm so tempted to not Eldritch Parasite, but we'll Eldritch Parasite because Eldritch Parasite. Keeping in mind, we're on Kathak this time, so there's less weird things that can go on. But yeah, with two Eldritch Parasite runs, we're definitely going to be playing this character again. So, as we get into Kathak Eldritch Parasite, once more, yeah, I'll try to be more coherent in what I'm saying. I mean, being vague has its... being vague tends to make things less understandable, if that makes any sense. Strength, dexterity, knowledge, every single stat check, light check, and maybe a second encounter check. No Takshay-san. And yeah, let's get on to this Eldritch Parasite run. We'll do the normal thing. It's hard to really justify a weapon with a character that has lower stats on average. We could use we could use the army knife. We could use the we could definitely use the small candle if we had a damage increase, but Ghostly Spirit will do. We'll still check the History Club, because if we don't have Akamanto, getting the Gruesome Totem is another bonus on top of maybe getting Mind Drain as well, but we'll see what happens. Festival, Ward, Flood, I was about to say, do I not get a single town mystery, by the way? Which has happened before. I don't know if it's happened on recording, but I definitely remember running into 5 base mysteries that did not have access to the whole town of Shiokawa, but hey. But yeah, as we move on here and kind of autopilot for a moment, we'll take Expel Evil really quickly, but... yeah, so what I meant by wish fulfillment in the last video is, I'm trying not to make an overpowered character, but sometimes you want overpowered characters. That's the short version of what I was trying to say. I could go on a little bit more, we'll check a few more times. But if we don't get anything else, fine, so be it. I would prefer to pick something up, but no, let's not waste any more Doom, because at least we can rest and we're on Kathak, so... could grab some funds instead, but don't know if I really want to do that. Yeah, and on the other side of that, we're probably just going to kick our way out of a lot of encounters. We don't want to take all damage, so we're going to Ghostly Spirit again, but yeah, then we just prep kick. But on the other side of that, yes, you don't... there are probably some audience, readers, so on and so forth, players who don't want a character that's overpowered at all, or they've received fatigue, because a lot of isekai tend to have overpowered characters, so there's that. But this question does go back to, hey, what is your audience? What's your intent as a creator, whether you're an author, game developer, artist even, maybe you're making a comic, manga, so on and so forth, or your audience, in which your audience may want a certain thing, and you're going to cater to that audience. I say cater, that's kind of that sounds a little disingenuous, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. You want your audience to be happy in most cases. Again, there are some authors or there's some artists out there who just do whatever they want because they want to do it, and if there's someone who likes them or consumes their content or pays for their work, then that's them. But then the only other nuance, I keep saying nuance, but it's the only word I can think of at the moment as I'm trying to survive here, is that I don't actually want to take... yeah, let's take this all damage here. And then we do this. Now, overall, I took more stamina damage, but it's fine. But yeah, at this point, you might be asking, Jordan, then what kind of audience do you want? Obviously, I'm not... indie game audience, RPG Maker audience, I mean, those would definitely fit, but that's the audience I intend, I mean, yes, it is, but then I have to think about, okay, if I want to appeal, I guess appeal is the more correct phrase to use, if I want to appeal to the audience that I'm making my games for, then it would do me well to think about, how I want my stories to go, what kind of stories I'd want to make, and characters. Now, again, I think there is some kind of an enjoyment factor in making a game that you enjoy making, because if you don't enjoy making, you're just trying to appeal to an audience, that can be bad. Oh my goodness, by the way. I mean, yeah, I'm working on 90% kicks, but hey. And then we took about 1/3 of our damage for the whole run, or 1/3 of our total HP of damage in one mystery. But that's story, really. That's story, really. I would appreciate Mind Drain is the other thing I'm trying to say here. But anywho. Oh goodness, I'm in so much pain. Well, nonetheless, we just have to keep moving on. I could have grabbed the thing for Ward. Could take Phantasms next, but then that leaves Flood and Festival. And keeping in mind, because we have Flood, we can run from Ward, so that's not as bad. It's just that I want to pick up the host. Yeah, so we'll do Phantasms into Flood. I don't... we're just gonna go for the funds here. Who am I kidding? Hallucinations, and... Because we need a weapon to deal with the boss of Flood properly. Without a weapon, you're kicking at enemy B and taking more reason damage, usually. I wouldn't say it's a majority of the time, but I feel like a lot of the time you are. So let's hope we get some... thing, because we have the Doom to spare, we just don't have the thingy. We'll just take the Meat Cleaver then, I guess. I guess we're gonna build strength. Quick thinking. Yeah, quick thinking is probably gonna be the better option here, and off we go. So to focus back in on World of Horror for a moment, while Eldritch Parasite, yes, you cannot recover in Flood, which is what I know other people are doing it as well, but other players are doing it as well, but I normally rest in Flood. But the more important reason why we're taking Flood before Ward and not planning to fight the boss of Ward is because, yes, even on Kathak we don't... Yes, obviously, we can escape even though Ward's boss... We're on Kathak, but you can escape from the boss of Ward, so we don't have to worry about the boss of Ward, which is what I was worried about taking as my fourth mystery, but you can run. Which leaves Flood, which is a forced boss encounter, in which on an Eldritch Parasite run, if I plan to run the strat here that I'm running, where I'm using Ghostly Spear and or Mind Drain, I need a way to deal with enemy B. Sometimes, I think I've kicked the enemy before, but it hasn't gone well for me. Especially on a run where I'm receiving a lot more damage, but that's, again, depends on the combat capabilities of the character I'm using, which this character, just by nature of having low stats overall, is a bit worse than... It's not unworkable, but it certainly hurts a lot more. Let's see what we can... Yeah, we can do 7 damage with the Meat Cleaver, so 8 damage really, but the point is there. And then max threat level downtown, but Village is probably going to be my guess anyway. Also, our Doom is not as bad as it seems. So really, I could have looked for Mind Drain a lot longer, but I was just... You never know when you pick... Hey, maybe I get Mind Drain and an extra 10% Doom, but then the run is full of Doom, so... I'm shrugging in real life as I present to you those options. Now, that being said, what is nice is that we're going to be leveling up a lot more, well, once or twice, but even that's just enough. But we do have to deal with Flood here, so we can't afford to just trade some damage here. Now, what do I actually want to do? 10 damage, maybe we get some more, because we get bonus damage here, so being able to two-shot this encounter without using Ghostly Spear is great. Also, if you hear my mouse clicking, it's because my microphone is positioned pretty much right above my mouse, which is not great, but I can't position it over the monitor that's in front of my face, because that will result in the microphone not picking up sound as well. Although that's a me problem, really. So... the Theologist is in the school. We'll pick up the Theologist. Could pick up, you know, if I wanted to continue using Mind Drain and Ghostly Spear, I could continue onward because it's not... You know, I could pick up another Damage Researcher because it's not like we're going to be healing stamina here anyway. But the whole point is that we're not spending as much Doom, which is why we're not investigating, along with losing HP. But now as we're here... Yeah, I think I just throw out Strong Attack. So 3 turns... Turn this to essentially a 4-turn encounter. Now, we are taking 6 reason damage-ish, but you'll notice that sometimes we only take 1 reason damage. It's because the enemy you're targeting is supposed to be the one dealing damage to you, but because you defeat enemies, it switches the cursor back to enemy A, which, theoretically speaking, you could say is not a bug, but maybe... and not a design oversight as well. I don't want to use that term, because that's not what exactly fits. But maybe it is intended, again... It's just something to note because it is what happens, because otherwise, if we are supposed to take damage from the source... I mean, the source that we're fighting is defeated, so it kind of makes sense that you're taking damage from whatever you swap to, but hey, also, let's just keep taking reason damage here. We're gonna gamble on this, because I don't want to lose as much stamina. Considering we have every single stat check in this character, or at least we're not gonna get 8 into a stat, maybe strength, maybe... But basically, we're taking 9 stamina damage at the lighthouse, which means we essentially have 8 HP remaining. Anywho. Could double up on knowledge. I'll think about it. No, I should have done it there if I was going to do that. Well, too late now. And into Ward we go. So we have a lot of Doom to work with. 4th mystery, 22% Doom. We should be trying to spend Doom where we can. And this is where your knowledge as a player comes in. Now, I don't remember anything. If the game just grants you an option that loses reason or stamina, then not really much I can do about that. But that doesn't mean that the other 50% or more choices that you make aren't going to be important. But again, if we're just presented with events that just slap us in the face when we fail, or just slap us in the face in general, not much we can do about it. Although I will say, with the custom events and mysteries I have so far, I think on average we should I think we have a higher. Funny enough, we have a higher rate of survival on using the custom content that I'm using than at base game. So let me repeat that, because I feel like it's not like an important statement to say, but it's funny for me to notice that on average, yes, even though we just went through a mystery called Story, Ringu, whatever you want to call it, that just sends you to all encounters, on average, I still do believe that the custom events I'm working with, and funny enough, I think this is true in the custom content Nuzlocke as well, but on average, the base game is harder than using a lot of custom events. It's just that the nature of a lot of custom events are not usually, but there are a lot more lenient events and enemies than dangerous events and enemies. And if we want to use an extreme example, there are more examples of encounters. I really should have just been using Ghostly Spirit here, by the way. There are more examples of encounters and events that just grant you experience, or maybe +1 to stamina and reason, then there are events that just decrease your stamina and reason by 4, 5, 6, 7. You get the point. That's kind of out of control, but even if you know nothing about how to balance for World of Horror in general, I think most creators are doing. I think nearly all creators do a good job, aside from certain characters here and there that 0 stat immediately on Harbinger Doom, or maybe they just completely collapse under the weight of Zektast. But again, that's usually not to the fault of a creator, because some characters or events or mysteries may have been made before, say, Zektast or Azul, and so there is something to think about, even though I haven't done such myself, to going back to your custom characters or events or mysteries and rebalancing things, because certain things might change in game. For example, maybe the katana just becomes like a 6 damage weapon, then it's like, well, characters with the katana now perform a lot worse, but it's still a better weapon overall. I mean, I would still use them over, say, a character like Hayano, but that's a really extreme example, but you get what I mean. There are a lot of custom characters usually turn out a lot better, but I think there's a dichotomy, is that the correct term? There's kind of a flip side to both of those, where I think actually a lot of characters do underperform compared to even above average characters in World of Horror, although that's saying a bit much. I wouldn't confirm that statement. You shouldn't quote me on that. Let's just take the hit here. Never mind, we get a flashlight. I thought I was going to take the damage there. Actually, I should have run if I was expecting to fail, because then we wouldn't have lost stamina if we failed, but we didn't fail, thankfully, so. And yeah, that is just Doom Decrease. So again, there are events like that compared to other events that, even if they're the same number of events that, are relatively balanced or do worse, usually they're not just slapping you with 5% Doom here and there. Sometimes they are. I don't remember. I feel like there was an event that just slaps you with 5% Doom increase, or slaps you with a 5% Doom increase, if I want to be more grammatically correct in my speaking, but again, I do mumble on my words a lot because I'm trying to focus on the game as well. I have not, I have by no means gotten close to perfecting the art of multitasking or commentating while playing the game, but I'm doing my best. So yeah, into the lighthouse we go. We should survive no matter what. Like, I thought I was actually going to lose there. I could have actually lost there, on that last event that we did, where we ran into, when we came out and talked to those hunters. We certainly could have died there, and now I kind of regret not doubling my knowledge, but again, we should have enough stamina for this. In fact, I can probably just mash through this, but we'll try to remember my second encounter. I don't remember it at all, but hey. Funny enough, I remember the last one, which I think was like some kind of, I don't even remember an enemy, but I know it was a ghost encounter, but that was the last episode, so as we actually passed the light check, doesn't matter because stamina was what I was worried about. I think for the right reasons, but anywho, as we will do another run with this character because we ran into 2 Eldritch Parasite runs. Let me know if you want to say anything, if you want to support me, if that's cool too. Otherwise, I won't take much more of your time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye!